Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. Hello, how are you? You already know what we're doing. We are doing sapphic books based on songs from Folklore by Taylor Swift. So this came out yesterday. And if you've never made like a book recommendation video, like recommending books based off of songs, you know you gotta kind of listen to the songs a couple times to think of something. So we're not going to talk about how many times I've already listened to the whole album. We're just going to ignore that. Specifically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quote from each of the songs and pair it with a book. So it won't necessarily be a book based on the whole song, because a lot of the songs are like not like necessarily breakups, but like not really happily ever after, and most of these books are like happily ever after. So most of the time it's going to be based off of a quote, but for the books that aren't happily ever after, I don't want to spoil them, so I'm not really going to be getting in too deep about how the quote relates to the book, if that makes sense, because I know a lot of you probably haven't read these books and you don't want to be spoiled for them. So the first song on the album is The One, and the quote I have chosen from this song is, "But we were something, don't you think so? Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool, and if my wishes came true, it would have been you." So for this, I think the book that pairs very nicely, very nice with this, is The Weight of the Stars by Kate Ingram. This is a book about a girl. She's got big dreams, and she can't really do anything with these big dreams because she is the caretaker of her family, and she ends up having to befriend this new girl at school. She finds out that this girl is listening to the radio every night to try and get a signal from her mom, who went to space like 18 years ago or so, and she basically had her baby and then went to space. It's kind of like a whole thing in the book. It was just so beautiful, and I think it really represents The One perfectly. The next song on the album is Cardigan, and the quote I've chosen from this one is, "To kiss in cars and downtown bars was all we needed. You drew stars around my scars, but now I'm bleeding." So for that, I think The Midnight Lie pairs very nicely. So this book is one I read very recently, but I absolutely loved it. This is a fantasy book about this girl, and she is in a very low caste in her world, and she meets this traveler, and this traveler is looking for magic, and the main character is looking to kind of like dismantle the caste system and how different her caste is to the upper caste. And I think the relationship between the two characters is very reminiscent of this quote, especially "you drew stars around my scars and now I'm bleeding." Like, if you've read it, you know. The next song from the album is The Last Great American Dynasty, which is one of my personal favorite songs. The quote I've chosen from this is, "There goes the last great American dynasty. Who knows if she never showed up, what could have been? There goes the maddest woman this town has ever seen. She had a marvelous time ruining everything." So for this one, everyone's read it, y'all know, but I've chosen The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for this one. It's perfect. It's perfect. Evelyn Hugo is the last great American dynasty. Like, she is. And she did have a marvelous time ruining everything. Like, that's it. I don't think I need to go into what this is about, because y'all have already read it. But Evelyn Hugo is, in this book, a famous actress, and it's talking about her life and her 7 husbands and all the drama that was her life, and it's good. She's a queen, and we love her. But yeah, Last Great American Dynasty and The Seven Husbands, love it. Okay, next song on the album is Exile, and for this, my quote is, "You're not my homeland anymore, so what am I defending now? You're my town, now I'm in exile, seeing you out." For that, I've paired it with Ice Massacre by Tiana Warner. This is a book about a girl who befriends a mermaid when she's very young, and she comes from a town where they basically hunt mermaids. Her dad doesn't approve. She gets in trouble, and flash forward however many years, like 10 years I think, and they've never seen each other since then. And then this girl's going out on one of their hunting trips, and she has to kind of deal with that. So I think it pairs up nicely with the quote, because the main character has to basically exile the love of her life because her dad doesn't really approve. Probably one of my favorite sapphic books. It's amazing, and there's mermaids. So next on the album is My Tears Ricochet, and the lines from this I've picked are: and I still talk to you when I'm screaming at the sky, and when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies. So that first line specifically, when and I still talk to you when I'm screaming at the sky, just goes very nicely with this book. I've picked Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Weir. This is a very, very enemies to lovers. So Gideon is a necromancer, and she has to become the cavalier. She becomes the cavalier of her arch nemesis, and they have to kind of get along to win this competition that they're doing. And like, they just absolutely hate each other, and then they, you know, kind of fall in love, you know how it goes, but they just despise each other. And just the it just fits perfectly. Like, just trust me on this, it fits perfectly. Next on the album is Mirrorball, and the quote I've chosen for this from this is: I'm a mirror ball, I'll show you every version of yourself tonight. So I was looking for a kind of like prom-ish book, because Mirrorball is like a prom-y kind of song, but I haven't really read any sapphic prom books, so I need to get on that. But for this I picked Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. This is a book about two high schoolers who don't like each other and they are forced to pair up for a project, and they end up learning more about each other. And I think I'll show you every part of yourself tonight, or yeah, I'll show you every version of yourself tonight, is just very reminiscent of their relationship, because they learn more about each other, but they also learn more about themselves. So another one that's now on my favorites list is the next song, which is 7. The lines from this that I've chosen are: and I think you should come live with me, and we can be pirates, then you won't have to cry or hide in the closet, and just like a folk song, our love will be passed on. So there's a lot of specifics that made me choose that quote and this book. So the book is The Last True Poets of the Sea by Julia Drake. This is about a girl who goes to stay with her uncle for a summer, and her uncle lives by the sea, and she is kind of like a local celebrity there because her ancestors founded this place. So that story has been passed along through generations. So it's like, and just like a folk song, our love will be passed on. And also the character that she ends up falling for, they're also trying to discover the shipwreck. So the whole like pirates, it just like the specifics of that verse and this book just go hand in hand. And the atmosphere of this one, wonderful. It's more of an oceany atmosphere than the kind of woodsy atmosphere the song is, but it's still atmospheric. So the next book was the book that inspired this video, this whole thing, because when I first listened to this song, I was like, this is exactly like this book. So the next song is August. The quote slash lines I've picked from this are: but I can see us lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time, because it was never mine. For this, I've picked The Falling in Love montage by Sierra Smith. I picked this because the two characters are agreeing on a summer fling, and they're agreeing to break up at the end of the summer. So literally August slipped away like a moment in time, and she was never hers. So it fits perfectly, and this reads very much like a 90s rom-com, and I think the style of August kind of is reminiscent of that. So one of the more emotional songs on the album is the next one, which is This Is Me Trying. So I think this book goes along with the whole song, but more specifically the lines, "They told me all of my cages were mental, so I got wasted like all of my potential, and my words shoot to kill when I'm mad. I have a lot of regrets about that." So I've picked for this We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This is a very atmospheric book about a girl who is depressed and she's staying at her college over winter break. She's trying to get over the loss of her grandfather, but she ends up making amends with her old best friend who she has feelings for, and it's just very nice, and I think it just definitely goes with the feel of the song. So yeah. So the next song on the album is Illicit Affairs, and the line I chose from this is, "And that's the thing about illicit affairs and clandestine meetings and stolen stairs." So the book that I've matched with this one is The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skrutsky. This I picked because it's an illicit affair. The main character is a sea monster trainer, and she is captured by pirates, and she ends up falling for one of the pirates, and she kind of knows that she probably shouldn't be and her love interest knows the same thing. So it's a very, you know, illicit affair, lots of stolen stairs, as you would say. The next song on the album is Invisible String, and the quote I've picked from this one is, "Hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven." And the book I matched with this is The Dark Life by S.E. Deemer. I picked this because it is a Hades and Persephone retelling, but it's sapphic, and I think if you know the story of Persephone and Hades, and say you take away all the problematic stuff out of it, because that's what the author did in this book, take away the problematic stuff, it seems like there's an invisible string tying them together, and it definitely see that in this book. And the heaven and hell reference, I mean, come on, like, it's a little too on the nose for me, so I had to pick this one. This one was a little too easy for me to choose. Next song on the album is Mad Woman, and I've picked, again, like the whole chorus for this. And there's nothing like a mad woman. What a shame she went mad. No one likes a mad woman. You made her like that. And you'll poke the bear till her claws come out, and you'll find something to wrap your noose around. And there's nothing like a mad woman. So for this, I picked Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardust. And listen, it fits perfectly. If you've read it, you know. It fits perfectly. So this is about a girl who is poisonous to the touch. Like, she's poisonous to the touch. So anybody she touches, she poisons and kills. And she doesn't want to be that anymore. So she tries to get her way out of it and make some bargains and become not poisonous anymore. It's interesting. There's more to it, but spoilers. And yeah, but this one's really good, and yeah, we love a mad woman. Next song is, again, one of the more emotional ones on the album, and that is Epiphany. So I've chosen the line, "With you I serve, with you I fall down, watch you breathe in, watching you breathe out." So for this I picked This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Moder and Max Gladstone. This is about two women fighting in a time war, and they're sending notes to each other through time, and they're very secret notes. And I think the whole idea of like a war and fighting, it's a parallel. Definitely as emotional as the song as well. So the next one I didn't pick any lyrics for, because I picked it on a principle rather than the idea. So the next song on the album is Betty, which is, in my opinion, secretly sapphic. It is a sapphic song. You cannot change my mind. So for this I picked The Guinevere Deception, because both the song and this book are about a dude, but it's gay. We all know it's gay. We're just waiting for the gay. So that's that's how I picked this one. This is obviously a, what's the word I'm looking for? King Arthur retelling, and Guinevere is a changeling, and she's kind of going to marry Arthur to protect him and keep the kingdom safe. And this is probably one of my favorite books of all time, second favorite, if you will. And yes, I had to put this in here even though it's technically not sapphic, but there's a chance. There's a chance. So we're throwing it in. Next on the album is Peace, and the lines I've chosen from this one are, our coming of age has come and gone. Suddenly this summer it's clear. I've never had the courage of my convictions as long as danger is near. So for this I picked The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nevo. This is a book that follows a non-binary main character, and they are visiting with this old woman, and this old woman is telling the story about how she was in love with the Empress. And it just definitely has the vibe of peace and kind of almost a forbidden love, and a love that wants to happen but can't happen. Finally, we're at the end of the album. The final song is Hoax. The line I picked from this is, stood on the cliffside screaming, give me a reason, your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in. So I picked for this Crier's War by Nina Varela. This I picked because it's enemies to lovers, and the main character is like a princess, and the other main character is going to kill her. And like they kind of like end up like, are like, am I having feelings for this person? But also at the same time, like, she does still want to kill her. And like the whole like cliff thing, the cliff analogy just worked out perfectly. Like if you read the book, there's like there's a scene with a cliff, so that's what I drew from this, cliffs. So yeah. Anyway, highly recommend this one. It's fantasy and sci-fi and wonderful. Creme de la creme of sci-fi fantasy queer books. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, let me know what you thought of the video and Folklore. I would love to know your thoughts. Tell me your favorite song from Folklore. If you watched this far, we're not doing emojis right now. Tell me your favorite song from Folklore. And honestly, I won't tell you if you have rights or not, because they all deserve rights. So tell me your favorite song. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.